Hello everyone and welcome back to Ash of God's Redemption. Thank you for joining me today. We are, I believe, playing as Hopper now, and we have a current goal. How soon will Thorn realise that the Menhirs do not cure in Reap Time? You should intercept him at the double Menhir. So we're going to be taking the Ul'dan Pass through to the Gerenian Tower, and I wonder how far are we getting to. Because we were playing as Lothang last time out, and I believe he's... Oh yes, we were going through the Gelion Tunnel. So he's quite some way north of where we are at the moment. And I believe Thorn was heading... Was it for this one? The Archmenhir? Was it the double Menhir? Was that the one we were at? So it has been a long time since I played. It's actually been a while since any of the videos have been on the channel. I do apologise for that. Unfortunately, I am a hobbyist YouTuber, and sometimes there's days go by where I just don't get a chance to record. So anyway, let's carry on down the Ul'dan Pass. The road running through the mountain valley between the Albus Menhir and the Gerenian Tower, the border of Jurana, and a way to get to the old Gebanon Road and the Bakanin Road. The valley itself is wide and shallow and well travelled year round, and that's where we're going to go. What tragedies are going to befall us along this way? Oh, here we go. What's this? You feel the reaping grows stronger. Its shadow falls upon you. The curse that has crippled your arm is reaching for your heart. If you give up and feed some of your power to the enchantment, you can prevent the reaping from growing stronger. If you resist and conserve your strength, dark magic will tighten its grip on the world. Oh, okay, so we have this thing called the curse power here, something at 20%. So I'm guessing, so if we resist, it's going to just infect the world, or we could just bring it onto ourselves. But what does that do? What do we do? Hold on. If you give up and feed some of your powers to the enchantment, you can prevent the reaping from growing stronger. I mean, that seems like the best thing. Hopper might get weaker, but I think we're going to give in. The curse is spreading. Okay. So our stats were reduced, but we did gain a skill point. The blackness on your hand creeps upwards, sapping your strength and chilling your heart. And yet, the reaping halts. Only for a while. You console yourself knowing that your suffering lessens the evil engulfing Dominion. It seems to be the best way to do it, so we're going to lose stats, but from what I understand, from what I've read up in this game, is that Hopper himself is an extremely powerful unit, so I think we can kind of take a few hits to our stats, maybe. You camp for the night and try to get some sleep, but ache keeps pestering you. The giant warrior begins with a story about Isenham, temple servants who scatter and hide when the Primarch of the Temple of the Divine Retribution leaves his bedchamber. What scares them isn't the divine retribution, but the prospect of being summoned into said bedchamber. Let's tell them about the old religion of Dominion. You silence Ake's tall tale and offer a terribly heretical story in exchange. You tell them that the divine retribution occurred on the day of the vernal equinox, in the year 1998 by the old reckoning. If you could travel back in time, you could encounter the one called a thrice-arrived one. Ake grows pale, aware of the terrible punishment awaiting anyone who so much as mentions that name. However, curiosity gets the best of him, and he begs you to continue. You tell him about a traveller who was killed in one of the villages in Dominion. The villagers tossed his body over the fence, but the next day, the man came back. Once more, he was tortured to death, his body burned. The next morning, however, he was standing outside the palisade. The villagers tried to kill him again, but couldn't approach, and then they all lost their minds. Ake mulls things over. So, what's the wisdom in this fable? He asks. Or is it not a fable? If it wasn't a man but a god, why did he return again and again? Why didn't he punish the villagers? And what was the village called? You shrug. I don't know who he was or why he kept coming back. But if he was trying to highlight the vileness of human nature, he succeeded. I personally believe that he was, in actuality, killed a third time. Do you know why? Because 1,002 years ago, the divine retribution started in that very village. Ake goes quiet and asks no more questions. Okay then. So where are we heading? We are heading to the Double Menhir. Yes, that was where Thorn was. So we can go to the Bakanan Road, which will take us to the Bakana village. Where would that lead us to? Or we can go to the old Gebnan Road up to the Ruined Tavern. Isn't this... God, I'm struggling to remember now. Is this the road that Thorn took up this way? So this goes up here. Where would we go from the village? I guess we would go down this way and then maybe up through here. A hunter's track. A witch's track? That sounds interesting. I'm tempted to go to the village actually. So what I'm guessing, mind you, we've got all these other things. The Cursed Grove, the Eunuch's Village. There's a lot of these places that, I mean, are we actually ever... They've all got little look like... If you click on them, like this one for example, the secluded village is notorious in the entire region, but also produces highly valued lacework and embroidery. But will we ever go there? It's just got a little bits of lore about this entire land. It's really interesting, actually. Okay, so we go to the Bakana village, and then I'm guessing we would go up this way if we're trying to head up here. Don't see why we would go sort of anywhere else, really. So we go to the village. Possibly go past the Vandal Graveyard, it's a chapel, to the ruined watchtower maybe, or we might not go that far, we might actually go up to probably one of these ones, maybe Puppy Ford, up the Hunter's Track. Yeah, I'm going to go this way. I think this is, I'm pretty sure as Thorn we went up through the ruined tavern to the Outlaws Tower, following the old Gebnan Road, through the Hunter's Village. Let's go a different way. Let's go to the Bakanan Road, a well-trodden highway marked with posts and road signs, frequently patrolled by the Duranian Guard. Maybe it makes sense to follow Thorn's route, but technically Hopper wouldn't know which way he went. Okay, you stop in a tiny village to buy fresh bread from a roadside bakery. An ancient man with a crooked cane hobbles closer. His droopy eyes rest on you for a moment, then he kneels before you. He tells you that he recognises you, saying that you were once his teacher and that you travelled the roads of Bakana together some 80 years ago. You grab him by the shoulders and yank him to his feet and quickly send him away with a handful of coins. Lake mounts his horse, rips a chunk from the hot loaf, washes the simple meal down with a jug of fresh milk. What was that about, Hopper? Tell me, if you're trying to pull wool over my eyes, make sure it's nice and warm. You didn't expect to see a former student. What did you tell Ake? Did you lie to him, or joke your way out of it? If you have enough strength left, you could also cast an obliviating spell instead. I'm definitely not going to hex him. Fool him. Just laugh it off, I reckon. He nods to the ancient man hobbling away. Oh, that was nothing, you tell Ake. Happens all the time. I mean, really. One time in Gibo, a place I hadn't been in 15 years, I got harassed by this plump Gebnan lady. Where have you been, you son of a bitch? She said. Answer me, you bastard. Our son is 3 years old now. Ake immediately lights up. That happened to me 4 times, and every time was a woman I'd never met. How'd you get out of that one? You chuckle. I didn't. The guards took all my money, gave a third of it to the woman, and kept the rest to themselves, so I'll never set foot in Gabona ever again. Okay, we got away with that one. Oh, so we do have the option, carrying on the Bakana Road to the abandoned smithy, take the Ursus Road past the graveyard there towards the chapel. That's the way I was expecting to go. Or we could take the foul track through the Cursed Grove back into... It seems we're going back on ourselves there. I mean, I think probably... Let's think about this logically. If we're heading to the Archmenhir, which I'm pretty sure we are, it seems like the most direct route is the Ursus Road to the chapel. And then I'm guessing we'll go up one of these tracks here. So let's do that. The Ursus Road. Let's have a look. A decent dirt road that skirts impassable forests, but it may present a challenge on rainy days. Well, let's hope it doesn't rain. Okay, nothing happens at the graveyard. Okay, you diligently watch the road. Nevertheless, an odd woman in tattered clothing suddenly appears out of nowhere, catching you by surprise. The horse rears up as the woman leaps aside. You could have run me over, handsome. You won't get away that easily. I need to tell someone their fortune. No handouts, fair trade. I shall tell you what was and what will be. You notice pink sores on the bag lady's hands. She must be ill somehow. It'd be wiser to carry on and pay her no mind. Her fault if she doesn't get out of your way. Or maybe ride around her. Or have her read Ake's fortune, since the giant warrior likes bragging about his supposed tolerance to infection. Oh, I feel like that's kind of opening a bad possibility there. If she is infected with something, I'm tempted to do that actually. Have the woman tell Ake's fortune. Definitely not going to run her over. That seems a bit much. Because just try to get past her, or we could have the woman tell our fortune. I think I don't want that. Let's have him tell Ake's fortune. He nods at the giant, who extends his enormous hand to the fortune teller, grinning. Nothing to see here, she says with barely a glance. You are to be seated in the throne room. There you'll also lie. You won't die, but you'll go through a lot. Ake grimaces in disappointment, but gives the woman a coin. After a couple of leagues, the giant falls from the saddle suddenly and starts vomiting in the middle of the road. Oh, of course, it's infected. What the blazes? I never get sick, he says as he recovers. You decide to slow down and tend to Ake. Making medicine and getting the giant back in shape eats up a whole day. Thankfully, you're quite skilled, and after sleeping it off, the giant is completely cured. Okay, so what, we just lost a day of travel, I guess. It didn't seem to be too bad. Okay. Right, so we do have more choices here. The Ursus Road is what we're on to the ruined watchtower. The Nat Mire. That time takes us back. Well, where's this one? To Puppy Ford. The only stone ford on the river, rushing down the foothills and into the swamp. The water is low enough for a dog to cross, but too high for a puppy. Okay, so that's strange. Or the Witch's Track. The Witch's Track just looks like the most direct route. So I'm going to go down the Witch's Track. A stony path winding between hills, a way of making profit with the local raiders. Okay, so that could be an issue. We might get ambushed, maybe. But I think we can take them. Okay, you feel the reaping grow stronger, and a shadow falls upon you. The curse has crippled your arms, reaching for your heart. It's the same thing. Yeah, so we can give in to it or resist it. I think we just give in. Again, I don't know. Yes, we gain another skill point though for doing that. So I don't think that doesn't seem to be the worst thing to do. When we get here, hopefully we'll get a chance to camp, but we can actually level up. You approach the stockade enclosing a men here called the Arch. Seems like Thorn's been here. Enns has paid the place a visit too. You see blood and sword shards by the gate. One of the masks lies in the dirt. The gate is opened by a stocky, gloomy soldier. He scans your group with suspicion, finally resting his gaze on Ake. The giant warrior dismounts, handing the guard the papers. You do likewise and approach the guard. Good day to you, travellers. Regan, head watchman of this harbour, this stockade. At your service, I gladly see your papers. Do you have them on you? Hand them over here, please. Let's see who you are. Oh. Oh? That's no help. This probably ain't the first time you've seen Prince Treeg's seal. You're going to pretend you don't know who I am? I've got several questions for you, Regan. Answer me, and it'll be like I was never here. For starters, tell me, do you know Captain Thorn, Brennan? True, I must abide by this seal of yours, but that's no excuse for threats, and I've seen much greater ones, as had my old comrade Thorn. You passed through here with a party, helped us fend off the Enses, he did. Did Thorn have... Oh yeah, so in case you've forgotten or haven't seen the earlier episodes, Thorn was travelling with the prince, who was disguising himself as a regular soldier, and we were kind of needing to keep him alive at all costs. Of course, as the way things happened, he was the first one to die, so the prince has been killed, and Hopper here is on the trail of the prince and is actually trying to track him down and find Thorn and find the prince. So that's what he'd probably ask about first. So did Thorn have a blonde, green-eyed lad with him? No, I don't recall anyone like that, but to be honest, I wasn't looking. What is Thorn's party like? Are they all warriors? Who knows? Not like my sore ass rode alongside them. They fight well, the rest remains to be seen. Did Thorn lose any men fighting the Enzers? Speaking truthfully, I don't know. I was too busy tending to my men. I highly doubt it though. Thorn's a commander like no other. Someone could have been wounded, yes. There was so much blood you couldn't tell whose it was. Let's hope that no one was killed. Do you know where Thorn was headed? He asked the way to Ursus, so I gather that's where he's headed. From here it's either go to Ursus or go home. If memory serves, he wanted to visit the Menhir there. Whom did he ask? Did he talk to anyone else in the stockade? I'm the only one he knows here. He only spoke to his companions, maybe some merchants too. No wait, there was someone else, a seer. She calls herself Chila. That's her tent over by the Menhir. She herself has vanished. Interesting. It'd be worthwhile to check the tent. It's not every day you hear stories of vanishing seers. I have no further questions. Okay, right, well, do we have, let's close that, do we have the option, what have we got, time to continue, or just go to the tent? No, we don't have the option of making camp and levelling up. We can do that later though. Let's go to the tent. This is where the old seer rested. She foretold every Enz attack, for which I'm grateful. Without her, we might have failed. She spoke to Thorn, then disappeared while we were fighting the Enzes. She left some of her possessions behind. Her tent is still here. Let's have a look. Were her hands black by any chance? No, I saw no signs of such an illness. She was wearing a dress with a long sleeve, cuffed at the wrist, and had stone bracelets on each arm, but her hands looked clean. She made predictions, you say. What did it look like? How did she... prophecy. Did she rant or chant? There's the difference? No, she didn't do any of that. It seemed more like she was raving. She only guessed right every single time. Stood over here, she did, squinted at the sun, then turned and spoke. "Be ready, vegan," she said. 12 Enzers are skirting the edge of the forest, and every time, things happen exactly as she said they would. Did she do any sorcery? Mix potions, perhaps? No, she brought a salve to help with the neck aches, but she claimed it came from the Ursus temple. It's already running out. What struck me was that she kept chuckling under her breath, had a fearsome look in her eyes too. She also touched the Menhir, but warned us not to. And that warning wasn't groundless, I tell you. What did she say to Thorn? Can you recall anything? Should I have listened in on their conversations? That's beneath me. But it seems Chila had been waiting just for him, or his daughter. She spoke with her too. Quick as a whip, Thorn's daughter. Listen, I also recall them mentioning Unda, the healer lady from Ursus. They don't seem to enjoy talking about Chila. Lowering his voice. She's no old crone, Hopper. Half the village is old woman. I know all about them. Chila doesn't walk, talk, or even smell like one. The way she moves, be the envy of any young lass. That's why I do not think she is human. Well, vegan, what if I'm not human either? My back doesn't ache, and I don't reek of old age.
Hey!
I used to stand at the gate with a talisman. I could see through any rigged cart, you know, but Chila, it was like looking through fogged glass. Couldn't see a thing. She read my thoughts through the whole conversation, simple as they may be, and then she vanished. Here one moment, gone the next. The gate was closed the whole time. I need to go. If you see Chila, tell her that Lance is looking for her. Hold a moment, friend. There's something else I need to tell you, but I can't quite remember what it is. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Well, try to make sense of your memory. We'll speak then. I will. I keep forgetting things. Perhaps it's time I learn to read or write, or hire a scribe at least. I'll let you know if I remember anything. Deal. Mind you, I won't stay long. I'm heading to Ursus once I've resolved matters here. Oh, that's up to you. I don't mind. Okay. Curse has risen to 36%. We don't have the option to camp yet, so I guess we just go to the gate and continue our journey. As you're about to leave the stockade, Vegan approaches you. I'm no rebel, but I'll speak my mind. You're chasing Thorn, but he's broken no laws and committed no acts worthy of reproach. That is what I believe. You smile. These days, everyone has warnings for me, but every other warning is a threat. I'd best get used to it. Let me bid you farewell, Vegan. I've tarried here more than I intended. Vegan, however, takes the reins of your horse, a clear signal that the conversation isn't over. With a sigh, you dismount. Excuse me a moment, I need to take a drink. This is hurting my throat while I was talking. Okay, hold a moment. I have to tell you something. Old age hits you hardest, not in the back or knees, but in the memory. But I remember, damn it. What do you remember, Vegan? Spit it out. It's bad luck to muddy farewells with talk. Who cares about bad luck when the reaping is upon us? No matter how you spin it, it can't get any worse. I just remembered something. Something Sheila said the moment she arrived. I'd forgotten all about it in the turmoil, but now it struck me like lightning. She may have been raving, but this is what she said. The wise will take to heart what the foolish won't hear. There are holes and holes. One bites, the other brags and moralizes. Talk to those eager to talk. Sometimes the tongue knows more than the head. What's it all supposed to mean? I don't know yet, Vegan, but I'll think about it. Good luck to you now. Don't be too quick to judge your friends, old on you. The day for that is yet to come.
Hope is like the sun. It turns red and goes out. Should we wait for a new dawn?
Oh, I have no idea. Looks like we're going to be back with Thorn. Yes, so current goal. The thin thread of hope leads you to a mysterious lady healer called Unda. She lives in the city of Ursus, so we're heading to the Ursus. So we've kind of gone back in time a little bit, so when Thorn was leaving the Archmenhir, which is just where we were. So we could take the mushroom track to the Woodland Watch, the Shepherd's Path up to the old mill, or the old Governor Road towards the bread market. That seems to be the more direct route, but what are the advantages here? So the mushroom track, okay, let's have a look. We've got 122 strikes. We're doing quite well on the strikes at the moment. The mushroom track will take 14, the Shepherd's Path takes 28, and the old Governor Road also takes 28. Mushroom track is obviously a shorter track. What does this say? A mostly deserted road along the barren lands and the foul forest. Or the Shepherd's Path, the dirt track used by the local shepherds that looks like a tangle of several paths winding around boulders and shrubs. Or the old Governor Road, already broken and unkept but still a decent road traversing the desolate lands near the spurs of the Milky Mountains. I mean, to be honest, it seems like the obvious way. Why would we go anywhere else? What does the old mill say? Stone mill, constructed in olden times. It's a bit out of the way, but still produces the best flour in the region. Or we go to the Woodland Watch. A small stockade manned by wardens at the edge of the foul forest. Tempted to go this way. It's interesting. We've got the foul forest. I guess we then carry on down the Ursus Road. Past cursed ruins and salt mines to Ursus. The bread market. Crossroad market, where one could buy fresh produce and the best bread in Duranda. I mean, it seems like the obvious way to go, doesn't it? The Woodland Watch. What's this one? Oh yeah, we saw that one. Cursed ruins. Ancient ruins with massive forges. Supposedly this was once a smithy, but the furnaces are tall as trees. Must have been built by giants, if not by cannibals. You know what? That sounds a much more interesting way. Let's go that way. Let's go down the mushroom track. It looks good. I want to know what this Woodland Watch and these cursed ruins, are we going to see anything of them. You arrive at the Woodland Watch, where the St. Victor brothers live. One of the local huntsmen is happy to point out the man you need, Mark St. Victor. You strike up a conversation and ask about the word written on the Corpse Udder Tavern sign. Mark reveals that he and his brothers got the notorious tavern from a strange hag who called herself Sheila. She sold it to them for a single gold coin on the condition that the sign is not cleaned or changed. When the brothers gambled the deed away in Arbius, it was mostly a relief. Turns out the tavern was cursed, Mark concludes. We should have known that there's no such thing as a free lunch. We didn't profit. Innkeeping isn't really our specialty. We should have learned that the first time. What happened the first time? Chuckling, Mark recalls how he was talked into buying his first tavern by a beautiful dark-haired woman with eyes the colour of barley brie. He had too much to drink, and when he came around, the deed was in his hand and his money was gone. Nobody looked after that tavern and nobody would buy it. It's probably ruined by now. Can we see the deed? Mark considers and concludes that it's a valuable document after all. He won't just give it away. Do we want it? I don't even know why we're talking about this now. Is that this ruined tavern here? Why do we even want this? Sometimes these dialogue options are a little bit strange because I don't really know what the point of this is. Okay, well let's offer... I've got some gold. Let's offer money for the document. Mark considers and says he could use some gold. Who couldn't? The document, however, is valuable. It costs you 500 gold. Sure, we've got plenty of gold. Let's do it. Mark takes his pay and briefly disappears into the house. He returns with a scroll. You take it and bid him farewell. Later, after leaving the house behind, you unroll the document and discover that Mark accidentally gave you 2 scrolls wrapped into one. The deed states that Mark owns Drunken Hawk Tavern in the Highland Settlement as long as he pays 1/10 of his income to the asylum in Highborg. You try to remember the names of these places. 2 words are scribbled in red under the signature that former owner, Illapor and Haag. The second document contains details of Trimium's history. Okay, let's read the extra scroll. The tattered parchment lists sightings of Enses in the north of Trimium along with the first inquisitors of the Temple of Divine Wrath. It also includes the following notes. Tuibar, elder among elders, Dorkpal, the cold one, Atrakan, the hot one, Adna, the poisoned one, Chelado, the fast one. Below are 3 bracketed names. Ananel N.A. Coronzon, connected by lines to Tibibar. Yeah, we'll keep it. He gave it to us. You cram the extra scroll into your saddlebag and ride on. No idea what any of that was about, but let's carry on. So we can carry on down the Ursus Road, or we can take the barley track up to the bread market. So we could still go to the bread market. Kind of think I want to go down the Ursus Road. Yeah, let's go down this way. Cursed Ruins. Nothing happens there, unfortunately. Salt Mines. Oh, here we go. You pass a sad, homeless man wearing an old sword on his belt. When he sees you, he suddenly grabs your boot. Thorn! Thorn Brennan, he shouts. It's me. Balder. Don't you recognise me? The Palian campaign. Do you remember now? You have to search your memory to remember Balder. He was quite young then. Yes, I remember you, you answer, smiling. What are you doing here, and what's with those clothes? Balder laughs and points at his scarf. I keep freezing ever since the ice. I can't do anything but wear warm clothes. I looked for work, but knew only one trade, stabbing other people with a sword. Looks like they're building a new stockade here. I went to the local captain, but he refused to hire me. I don't know what to do now. You don't think Balder is shaking because he's remembering the ice. He saw the fate of those taken by the Palians. Even you were haunted by the mutilated victims for a long time, enough to drive a young lad insane. What should you do about him? Must help the poor fellow. You ask Balder the location of the stockade where he wants to work. Then you take the lad with you. You find the captain there when you arrive. Turns out to be quite sympathetic. After you talk with him, he agrees to let Balder work for him, under a few conditions. The captain closely examines your shield before you part ways. He probably knows who you are. So we lost a day's travel, and with that we'll lose some of the strikes, and potentially given away our position to this captain, but is that necessarily a bad thing? Don't know. That seems to be the good thing to do. Okay, so carry on with the Ursus Road to Ursus. Past the salt mines. Okay, here we go. Right, well here we are. Well, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to call it a day there. So a little bit of a slow burn. This game is definitely moving on. There's very little action. It has been described as a kind of a visual novel with occasional combat. But certainly an interesting story. I'm still enjoying this game. Hopefully you are enjoying it as well. When we come back, I'm sure there'll be some more action soon. We'll get into some battles, I'm sure. But we can rest and plan. We can go into the city. But I think we will try and leave that for the next time out. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.